Hello everyone, welcome back for another battle, and I'm gonna keep following on the Dreamcast Summer 2011 DreamHack. My god, it's starting so well already. But like I was saying, this is another series that apparently didn't get the coverage that it deserved, and might be an interesting one, because we're gonna have a Clash era battle between the blue Zerg spawning on the bottom right here on Shakura's Plateau. It's EGIdrA. What can I say about this guy? I mean, I think I'm gonna let my co-caster for today, which is a pleasure to have him here today with me, just sharing his thoughts and his opinions. But I think I'm going to let him present him, because I'm pretty sure he knows who he is. It's CricketStarcraft. Go ahead.
Hey everybody, first and foremost, thank EGIdrA for having me on this, and once he said, hey, do you want to cast this game, I got all giddy inside because of this blue Zerg player. He, of course, EGIdrA, one of a fanboy favorite. Everybody generally either absolutely loves him or absolutely wants to murder him in the back of an alley.
It's kind of like extremes. There's not some point in the middle. It's like you hate him or you love him for some reason. But go on, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's just, I mean, he lived in Korea. He's got that work mentality. He's completely solid, and of course we know at MLG he had his girlfriend there, which made him apparently 1,000 times better. So I don't know if she was there for this DreamHack tournament, but of course he has been playing phenomenal. He did an amazing job at this DreamHack tournament, and he's a macro beast. And of course in the ZVT matchup with the added infestors, he's been doing a whole lot better in this matchup. He was struggling a really long time with trying to do his muta-baneling composition, and it's because it's very difficult. A typical average player cannot pull that off at a high level. It's so difficult due to the constant harass of a Terran player. But EGIdrA, being very awesome in everything that he does, he is finally starting to make that comeback, performing an amazing at MLG Columbus. And of course, if anyone kept up with the DreamHack tournament, he did a fairly great job at this one as well. So EGIdrA, an amazing. We see Hatch first going into a pool.
Well, the only guy that was able to stop him on his tracks was like his arch enemy, so to speak. OGSMC again showing up on his way, and things didn't went very well. But yeah, he did pretty well. Solid player, obviously, and he's going to be duking it out here, facing this red Terran spawning on the top left of Shakura's Plateau. VirusNaama, the Finnish player from the EU side of the community. Awesome, solid Terran player as well. And I want to see how he's going to be able to handle EGIdrA here, because with all due respect for Nama, I think that EGIdrA might be a couple of notches above him. But things vary from game to game, you know what I mean? So we're going to have here a fairly long rush distance. The spawning positions are crossed, and this might be beneficial for EGIdrA in such a way that you went for a Hatch first, then he took care of his spawning pool, and is now trying to get rid of that first SEV that was just trying to poke around and take a look at. And EGIdrA even getting a spine crawler, so I'm wondering if he's expecting any kind of early pressure. What do you think, Cricket?
Well, and the great thing about the spine crawler is you almost always need one in a ZVT, unless if you just have amazing, and EGIdrA does have amazing response time, but the problem is Blue Flame Hellions are a big deal on this map due to the very heavy, just heavy, like the large main is so big, you can drop so many places, and you really have to have that spine because you're going to need your queens elsewhere. You don't want to have to keep your queens on the ramp, and so having one or two spines is basically an insurance policy. And lo and behold, as I say that, two Hellions are moving across the map. That's what Terran players love to do on this map, because it's so big, they can go to, you know, they can go from 0 to 100 so fast on their little bikes, and they're so excited about
and basically the Hellions cover a lot of ground really fast, and they're a good way of harassing on the early stages of the game against Zerg. I mean, they roast all the drones if they get to a mineral line easily, and they love to roast Zerglings as well. So it's a good unit to start with, and seems like that Nama is pumping out more and more of those Hellions out. Apparently he might be planning to go for a switch soon and get that reactor attached to the barracks, but for now he's just massing up a fairly decent amount of Hellions so he can keep applying the pressure, and might be planning ahead to expand soon enough. It's a way of approaching the game against a Zerg player on this situation against EGIdrA. Try to contain him into that two-base play, not allow him to come out until the moment he has solid enough units to start destroying these Hellions, and meanwhile you're just expanding and doing your thing inside your base.
Oh, and there's a hero overlord going into the base of I don't even know how to pronounce his name. What is it? Namam?
Nama.
Namam?
Nama, yeah, something
Ooh,
like that.
That was an epic fail there. But there's also a drop in the main of EGIdrA for Hellions, and this is what is so common. Looks like the drones are going to get in it, and there are Speedlings and Queens. It looks like he's going to go and pick them up, and hopefully he'll save that med back, but the other Queen is going to go and reinforce. But that was a hero overlord scouting out that basically what's going to be Banshees, that Starport tech lab, and of course he scouted it out right as the drop happened, but he got the information he needed, and he can prepare.
Yeah, and Nama apparently is just his plan is based on a lot of harassment. He started harassing with the Hellion, then he's going to transition into some Banshee play, and he's going to keep piling up the pressure on EGIdrA, try to keep him playing on his bases and not allow him to just come out, or at least if he's going to come out and try some kind of push, he won't be feeling safe because he knows that some air units might be showing up on his base and poking and prodding at his units. We do see that Medivac is going to attempt to drop once more and attempt another roast, another barbecue fest here on the mineral line. They're actually racking up some kills here on the worker count, and there's not much of a defense. I mean, the Queen was basically alone here, trying to contain that aggression, and the Hellions were just trying to roast as much of those workers as possible. I do see that on the worker count, EGIdrA has been droning up a lot. I mean, it's 40 harvesters at the moment against 26. It's a big gap there, a sign that EGIdrA has been committing himself to plenty of macro gaming, and that droning up might be translating into a third base coming up soon, I would say.
Yeah, and the main thing that, unfortunately, the Banshee actually went down to just 2 Queens. EGIdrA hasn't lost anything. He is morphing in some Banelings to prepare for this attack and the SCVs. You have to have Banelings to go ahead and kill all of this, and it'll really be up to what these Hellions can go ahead and take out. But it does look like the initial push might happen. The tanks are sieging up. There is one Banshee going to give view of the high ground along with that medvac, and we'll have to see if EGIdrA waits and makes a little bit of an army before he goes in, because the Spire just now finished.
Yeah, but this is a fairly big push here by Nama, and I was commenting that I was wondering when he would be expanding, and if he would be expanding on the back of the pressure, but seems like he's just been piling up units and he wants to make a big solid push. Notice the amount of SCVs that he brings here, that they're all climbing up the ramp at the moment and try to break into this natural expo. The siege tanks are still on the line on the back, not actually providing that much damage, but containing any movement that might come on this small bio ball backed up by SCVs that Nama is making. Simply he's just gonna pull back, micro back every time that Zerglings or Banelings come, and those siege tanks will be able to blast them. The problem is that EGIdrA at the moment has such an amount of pressure here, he needs to keep pumping out more and more units until he grinds down this small army, a fairly menacing one, but still a small that is attempting to break into his base. And well, what can I say? EGIdrA just GG out of the match.
Yeah, well, I'm actually surprised he GG'd.
Yeah, I was wondering, I mean, he has that 2-base production. I was hoping him to at least mess up a nice count of Banelings and Zerglings and put off this first aggression, but this 1-base play by Nama was too strong for him, I guess. That push was massive, and seems like that EGIdrA didn't have enough to resist. What do you think? Maybe GG too early?
Well, no, I mean, I think it was pretty much over, and I think one of the things that EGIdrA might not have expected is the fact that it was 1-base play. He had that Overlord on the left side of the Terran's base, but of course he wasn't able, he scouted, there was no expansion. There's no expansion. Whenever you see there's not being an expansion, especially when you have an Overlord on the other side, knowing that there wasn't a hidden one, then you have to know there's got to be coming soon. He cannot continue to afford to make all of these units without an extra base. And so EGIdrA, he has 41 harvesters. He loves to get that economic lead, but there's those timing pushes. This came at that vulnerable time when a Zerg's mutas are just coming out. EGIdrA being the king of that build, it's almost too typical. There was at one point in the battle when if he would have had an infestor or 2 infestors each with a fungal growth, every single thing would have died other than the tanks. True. There was a moment where they're in his natural, all bunched up, and army taken out. He has the economy. He would have been perfectly set, and that would have been it. EGIdrA would have taken the third. He would have been a base ahead and just would have macroed out and beat the Terran player. So some of it is just the unit choice. I really would like to see EGIdrA use infestors a whole lot more often, especially with that buff. That's so nice. But ultimately, the Terran player just took advantage of the time and
Yeah,
push.
he make that big push, and we were taking a look at the economy. EGIdrA was massing up a lot of drones. He's just getting his economy boosted the best possible way. And Nama basically stopped producing SCVs, getting more workers, and he was just committed to this push. He brought a lot of SCVs on this push as well. And if this didn't work for him, probably he would be out of this game, but well, he did. So let's move on for game 2. And Cricket StarCraft, thank you so much for helping me out on this cast.